All right, all right. It's Monday night, one of your favorite days of the week. We are live in the Counselor's Corner for another open court discussion. I am your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me is the Big Bad Wolf, Herbert Lewis. Oh, it must be a full moon tonight. Oh, man. Um, Also, hopefully, Anetta Life Coach Williams will join, and the youngest in charge, Shaughnessy Andrews. A recap from Monday, August 15th show, we discussed. She said she'd rather have a piece than a piece. It's all game. Well, what we believe is that when a woman gets to a certain level financially, that is when you hear this talk of not wanting to be bothered by a man. Oh, well, good luck with that. Moving on to tonight's show, August 29th, we will start off with the carryover topic. Are you going to take that 80% from him or leave it for someone else? Just know this, it will only be in your head that you will ever get 100%. That's right, you heard it. So, all the cliche talk and all of that stuff, like I want 100, 110%, you think about it mathematically, shit's not possible. It's not even possible. It's just something that we say or people say, and it sounds real good. All right. Number two, if parents are not teaching their sons or daughter to become men or women, so really, who's going to do it? If we feel that the younger generation, are they're not being taught properly at home by parents, who job who job is it to do it? And we're going to go deeper in that. Number three, what qualities do you really need to become a true pick me by a man? Yeah, you got all this stuff going around. Oh, she's a pick me chick, this and that. But at the end of the day, not every, but most women want to be picked and chosen by a man, especially if it's someone that they feel that they want to be on their side, that they want to take that run with. All that other, again, slogan, all that talk, oh, she's a pick me chick, and all of that stuff. It's just talk. It's just talk. All right, more fire and fire headed your way. Please like and share our video, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. Also, folks, I have over 2,100 people in the Facebook group, The Counselor's Corner. Come on, my people, let's balance this out. If I got 2,100 in the Counselor's Corner on Facebook, we need to get these subs up on the YouTube channel. Damn, I should be clearing 1,000 easily, but that's another story for another day. All right, so we're back for another live episode. Last week I had to cancel because I got I got finally hit with the COVID-19. I had been, doing well. Well, originally I thought I might have had it when it first came out, but that's before it was even diagnosed and all of that other stuff. But this time, tested positive and was like, I had to sit down. I had to shut down for 5 6 days, and it wasn't. You know me, I like to be. I ain't gonna say on the go because I'm more of a homebody, but I like to be up and at it and being laying around and not being able to control my situation or the environment wasn't good. But needless to say, I'm almost back. I'm about 90%, 93, 94%. And today went to work and had no choice. As soon as I walked in, first day of school, you know how it was, nonstop all day long. So luckily I was, near normal because if not, that would have been very annoying and a trying day. But we made it through it. Day two tomorrow brings another challenge. All right. Uh, Herb, what you got for us? Let me bring Anetta in here.
I got to unbox it, man. Let me grab this.
How you doing, Anetta?
Hi, David.
Hello. How you doing?
Ah,
Hi, Herbie.
she rocking the ego. All right, go ahead with your bad self. my unboxing today. For those who are scientifically inclined, if not, oh well, too bad.
I'm sure it's not that exciting.
It's from the Smithsonian,
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's exciting.
A History of the World.
Okay.
So I'm in the process of building my library. Something I've been endeavoring to do since the beginning of this year. I've been trying to stick to the a book a month thing, but unfortunately, I have not been able to do it thus far. But this is I think this is going to be a nice little addition to my library. So the unboxing, I can't recall the price I paid for it, and it's not here either. But if you're inclined, slide on over to Smithsonian, give them a shout. That's about it though. Ain't much else, man. Trying to round in the shape for a few things. Got birthday plans coming up. Looking to go on to a couple football games. I actually might be down in your neck of the woods for Thanksgiving, checking out the Giants play the Cowboys down there. We'll see how it shakes out.
You talking about me?
Yeah,
That's like 30 minutes from my house.
my brother has season. My brother has season tickets, so he generally wrong shoulder. He generally is down that way. So me and one of my brothers from down there, we might make the junket down there and check him
Okay,
out.
let me know.
Hmm.
Let me know.
We'll do.
All right. Netta, what's good with you?
I'm tired. Don't you see my eyes?
Yeah.
I look exhausted, don't I?
You a ball of energy, so I can't really
I,
say.
I'm sure that heat is not making it easier.
Oh, the heat doesn't bother me because I go into work, I'm in AC. I come home, I'm in AC. In my
Mm,
car, I'm in AC. So I don't
okay.
really expose myself that much. Only on the weekend. I get it on the weekend because on the weekend I want to be out and about. But during the
Okay.
I'm pretty cool. My house now is at a great temperature and I don't even have the AC on. It's because everything is locked tight.
Oh, this actually, oddly enough, it's actually been seasonably cool here for about the last 7, 8 days. No need for
It ain't so
AC.
cool. Y'all was like 90 something degrees, people was telling me. Probably in Niagara Falls. But in Buffalo, they was like, it's 90 something degrees. I'm scorching hot. They had the Funk Fest this weekend.
Yeah, I've been cool, so I haven't. I've only turned on my AC once this year, so I can't complain.
David, how are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm much better. Much better.
That's good. I'm glad.
Didn't really have no didn't have no choice today. Either sink or swim when you walk in there. Because as soon as you walk
Right.
through the doors, they wait and they ready.
Was that picture you put on Facebook for today?
Yeah, that was today.
You look like you lost weight.
I did lose a few pounds. A few pounds, yeah. I was losing a few anyway, but that just added to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
You looked great. I was like, come on, David.
yeah, I was looking a little scruffy for the first day of school, but
I said he
it
trying to get some
happens.
action.
nah, nah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. All right. So I know Anetta said I'm tired of talking about that 80-20, whatever. But we never got into it, and I think it's a subject that should be broken down more. And I just
I
don't.
told you I'm salty. I'm salty about men, relationships, all that stuff. I don't have nothing good to say about y'all jokers.
mm, Well,
That's okay.
yeah, we take it and deal with it. I mean, it's a lot of people. It's a lot of people feeling that way during this time, but oh well. And one of the things, like I said, when the 80-20, when people were like, oh, when ladies say, I don't want nothing but 100%. If you can't give me all everything, then I don't want anything at all. What a foolish way to think. What a foolish, selfish way to think. To think that somebody can really give you 100%. especially when we use that as the measure stick 100%, or sometimes people might say 110, or whatever the case is. Who's going who who's going to do that to any individual, and it's going to be sincere and genuine? So I just think that's being selfish, uh, narcissistic, a way of thinking, um, and it's that Disneyland type of thought process that
Nobody's
it'll
gonna
never
give
happen.
100. No one's gonna give 100% in the relationship. Nobody gives. You don't give 100% in a friendship. Not alone give 100% in a relationship. There's gonna be days in a relationship where one person gonna give 20%, the other person gonna give 80, one person gonna give 70, the other person gonna give 30. It's called a mutual balance, and the mutual balance has to be equal up to something. So no one's gonna give 100%. It's just royally impossible. We're all human beings. We're all flawed. We're all imperfected. So no one's gonna give 100%, and anyone that remotely thinks that, oh, if he don't come with 100%, if he don't, and I'm gonna tell you, I used to have that attitude. If he don't come at the table with this, and this, he might as well don't come to me. And then I realized, just because I have this doesn't mean somebody else want it or even need to have it. Some people you just gotta realize that ain't they drive. Some people just don't want to do that. And you got to respect them where they at. And either you want to talk to them or you don't want to deal with them. But just be authentic and honest with yourself. Most of the people that's asking somebody to come to the table with something, to come to something, 9 out of 10, they ain't got nothing to offer, period.
Mm. All right. Herb, what's your take on that?
I agree with the last aspect of what you said. I hear the question in circles, and to me it's half amusing, half I'll call it a chin check, because people have thrown it out there. Mostly men you hear that come from, just to see what somebody else is going to say. Now, personally, I'm never asking somebody what you bring to the table, because I've already assessed that by looking at an individual. But that's just how that's the role that I do for myself. You know, I'm looking at you from your shoes, nails, listening to the way you speak, how you present yourself. So within 5, 10 minutes of me speaking to you, I already know if I won't even address you in that manner. And people always say, well, you can't really know an individual in that short of time. I'm not trying to get to know the individual. I'm trying to get to know the individual's characteristics. And you can glean a lot by a person, by how they speak, dress, and how they present themselves. It's the equivalent to a job interview. Job interviews don't last 4 or 5 hours. If you're lucky, a job interview lasts 15, 20 minutes. By then, the individual that you're speaking to has already formulated a picture, an opinion, and they're seeing if you fit in or if you don't fit in. And I tell guys, if you conduct yourself as a business, and the women you deal with, especially if you're looking for a romantic interest, you treat them as a person you're employing, a whole lot of nonsense will clear up immediately. But a lot of guys don't do that because they're not focused on that. They're focused on something else first. And unfortunately for them, that's what misleads them, and that's what gets them caught up in a lot of nonsense. And unfortunately, it takes a long time for a lot of guys to figure out that trap. And I call it a trap because that's essentially what it is. If you once you fall into it, if you don't have anybody to pull you out and redirect your efforts, which is why I believe Anita is saying that nobody's giving 100% because we're all distracted.
What's my
If
name?
you're
What's my name?
Anita,
You said Anita. We've been friends for over
I
almost 2 years.
I said Anita.
You was about to get in trouble, her.
I said, see, case in point. Attention diverted. She heard Anita when I said Anita. And now, which further just accentuates my point that we're all diverted at some point in time, that we're not going to give 100% to whatever endeavor that we're in or in the midst of. And that has to be accepted. That has to be accepted if you're dealing with somebody who's doing something, who's going somewhere, who's about furthering their interest. There's sometimes that they're just going to check out. And there's just sometimes that they're going to be all there. You have to hope that the energy that both of you bring together at some point in time matches enough to make the relationship sustainable. And if not, go on your separate ways. But like she said, you have to be upfront. You have to be honest, first and foremost, not with anyone else. You have to be honest with yourself. Because once you start trying to deceive yourself, if you're dealing with a person who can see that nonsense, they out, and they should be. They shouldn't hang around.
Well, I would think when you first starting to get to know each other and you kind of learn and understand each other patterns or their daily activities or involvements, you'll realize to say, oh, this person is busy or they got this going on. To know that you wouldn't get, you should be, be satisfied with that 80%. And the other 20%, you have to fulfill that within your own self. When you have other things going on that you say, okay, he's doing this or he got this going on. Well, meanwhile, I got this going on. So, but it's the people who, with the imbalance where one person it has so much going on and the other person works their job, they punch in, punch out, really don't have, kind of stays to themselves, doesn't really have any friends or don't really deal with family like that. Those are the ones that's kind of looking and nitpicking and trying to come up with that. You don't have time for me, or everything is about this or about that.
Or
Instead
they
of,
say you emotionally disconnected.
man, those little catchphrases that they come up with to try to shame someone or whatever the case is. But some people, guys may fire back and say, "Shit, you knew what it was to begin with. You knew what it was. I'm not about to change. I've been doing this for years."
And the thing is, you do gotta know, your personnel, as her
Mhm.
always say. Because I tell y'all all the time, I'm easily distracted. Okay. And I got ADHD for relationships. Okay. I'm bound to be, like, you really have to intrigue me to have my total interest. You have to intrigue me. You can't interest me because everything interests me. You have to totally intrigue me. And I think sometimes people don't get that. You got to learn the person and learn the individual and know what their likes and dislikes is and be able to, heck, a relationship is about entertainment. You got to be able to entertain the thoughts. You got to be able to entertain communication. You got to be able to dialogue in a way that they know what you're saying before you even say it. You got to be able to spend time together, get to know each other, know your love language. That's what it's about, for real.
Now, do you think that that goes both ways, or is that more for women? Because me
No,
personally,
that's both ways. That's both ways. And that's the thing people mess up. People mess up because, well, women mess up because they think, no, you just need to focus on me. No, you got to focus on the man, okay? You got to focus on him too. You can't expect for him to come into the relationship and put all his cards on the table, and then you sit there think you're going to play the hand. How you going to play the hand if you ain't putting nothing in the game either? And
well, okay.
I think a lot of times women come in with that, you got to provide for me, you got to protect me, you got to do. And I'm like, wait a minute. He needs somebody to do something for him too. Are you going to support him? Are you going to encourage him? Are you going to stroke his ego? Are you going, you know what I'm saying? There's things that men need as well as women. But I think sometimes we try to dominate our needs over the men. And then we sit there and wonder why we in the state that we in. It's because sometimes we can be selfish creatures.
I, I don't. I will preface this by saying that I always say I'm a high maintenance individual. That's because when I want something, I want it. But understand it's going to be few and far between for me that I actually demand something that I want. And it's to what you said. I don't think there's anything wrong with any individual being selfish. I think the problem lies is when they don't understand that their selfish nature is a bit too much for an individual to handle if they're not reciprocating. So if I'm going to ask somebody for some money, I got to be willing to give somebody some money. And we have a lot of people that are willing to ask, but they never going to give.
Now that's huge for me, okay? Because I barely, seldom, and I can say I can count on one hand any guys I dated and I asked for money. Okay.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I count on one hand and still have fingers left. I don't really technically ask men for money because I don't want to feel like I owe you anything. And I don't want to feel like it's when I say I can literally count, I can think in my head 2 men I got money from my entire life. Okay. Because I've never been that girl. 1, because I'm so prideful. 2, because I never want a man to feel like he taking care of me or he making a way for me. 3, because I've always felt like that's why I said I'm a different breed. I always felt like I'm going to do for you and you're open if you're going to do for me. Okay. And I'm just never been that person to be like that. I'm a giver at heart. Like, I'm a giver. Any man I'm with, he gonna get gifts because that's a part of my love language. But my thing is, I also feel some type of way if I'm giving, and you not even offering anything. And I'm not saying, because I like Louis, Gucci's, and Chanel's. I'm not asking you to buy me that, but the little things. Send me flowers. Give me a box of chocolate. Do something. You know what I'm saying? But Shawty said I ain't never turning down a sale or cash app. I'm trying to tell you. Now, I ain't turning down nothing. Now, I've had male friends who be like, oh, you about to go shopping here? And I've turned it down. Like, nah, I'm good. You don't got to do that. And they are persistent at doing it. 1, I think they do it because they know that I'm not going to ask. And I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not that woman that I need you to provide for me and take care of me. But I think that for relationships, my friend asked me something earlier that was kind of funny. He was like, so if you, how did he word it? I'm trying to think. Oh, he said, if you dated somebody and you loaned them $11,000 and the relationship is over, would you stay in a relationship to get the $11,000 or would you end the relationship? Ooh, I was like, I'm gonna milk that relationship out to that ninja. Give me my $11,000 back. Unhappy and all. Give me my $11,000 back, okay? But me, I stated, I'm not gonna loan no man $11,000. You $11,000. What are you doing? Now it's different when you say, "Oh, babe, I need $2,000 because I'm going to get this car and put this money down. I'm gonna hit you back with it." Okay, because 9 out of 10, if I'm giving it to you, I know you have the capability of giving it back to me. Right. But 11,000, ninja, no, I'm not giving you $11,000.
That's a down payment. That's a down payment on a house.
Listen, I'm trying to tell you, and if I did, I'm gonna stay with this ninja till I get every bit of the check, and I'm gonna have my little ninja on the side, because the ninja ain't getting no action or nothing. But you giving me my $11,000 back, okay? One way or another, I'm getting it back. All right. But my thing is, sometimes we do stuff in the conscience of buying somebody to stay with us or buying their affection and they love. I ain't that girl. I'm sorry. Okay. Y'all better get y'all some toys and enjoy yourself. Sitting here trying to be with these men and y'all know they ain't no good and they ain't good for you and they gonna hinder your destiny and your progress. Get you a nice little toy. That $11,000 could have been invested in some great toys. I'm just saying.
Shaughnessy said a contract.
Hey, I will tell you now, I don't care who you are. If you're loaning money in a relationship, whether you're married, friends of benefits, slinky link or whatever, get it written down as an IOU. I don't care if it's written on a napkin, written on a crinkled piece of paper. It will stand up in court. You
It
don't
will,
believe
but
me?
you ladies don't loan no man $11,000. Period. I'm telling you.
Oh, I agree. But
Don't
that's why I
loan
said get it
him
as an IOU.
$11,000. Okay, he should have a credit card that got $11,000 and go get it off his credit card. But if he needs $11,000, I need this and I'm in a crunch. You better crunch a credit card.
See, it's
You better
only
crunch
meant,
your mama, your grandma, your granddaddy, somebody. Better crunch a bank. There's
it's
too
only
many
meant to be
loan
paid.
companies out here.
It's only meant to be paid back when the man gets it from a woman. But if a man gives, it's kind of like, oh, you really expect me to pay it
No,
back?
I disagree with that because men don't loan that heifer $11,000. You ain't getting it back. I'm telling you now, because she gonna think she paying it back in bodily favors. Don't loan $11,000. I'm helping y'all.
11,000. If a guy giving up 11,000, that shit must be golden. Whatever. You don't even need to put that much money into it. Not at all.
See, there's a lot of things I'll do in a relationship, but I ain't loaning no
Exactly,
money.
Marsha. Exactly. I handle my own. Listen, any man that come up in this house, he gonna know. If he come over here and we dating, I don't need you to pay my gas, my water, my trash, my mortgage, my electric. I don't need you to pay any of that. And nevertheless, you ain't moving in here with me. That's huge for me.
Oh, it's not big enough for two people?
I'm gonna help y'all out tonight. You get but women, don't you date no man and move him in your house. That's a no and a no and a no. Okay. I just had this conversation with my cleaning lady. I said, no, your biggest mistake is moving him in your house.
I will tell you
And
what.
he shouldn't even be comfortable enough to move in no woman's house. It's not your house. You can't say you the man of the house in a house that you moved in that already existed.
Well, he may feel he's
Ladies,
the man of the house if he's doing maintenance around the house and keeping the upkeeping of the house. So that may be
That
something
makes him
that
the man of the house because he doing no. That means you
whatever works
paying
for
your
some
rent.
people. That may work for
That
some
mean
people.
that mean you paying your portion.
Most people would see it like that, but some people who need a esteem thing, like, yeah, man, without me, she couldn't do nothing. I stay having to do this shit. Got to go out here to Home Depot, Lowe's, and I'm using my money, putting this in. They gonna talk up a good game. They gonna talk
Because
up a good
exactly,
game.
that's true. Listen, I'm just a firm believer. Don't move no man in your house.
I
Don't
will.
let him start staying the night, leaving his drawers and his toothbrush and all that stuff. Don't move no man in
I
your
thought
house.
that's what women do at men's house when they over there start moving.
I never did that.
Yeah, always finding something in a couch cushion, an earring or something, or
That's because
a
David, you
brush.
be having too many. You can't even keep up who be coming up in your
No,
house.
I'm not even saying from my experiences. It's just things I've
You said
heard over the
I be
years.
finding earrings in the couch and all that. You doing too much,
No, I
David. You
never
doing
said
too
I
much.
be. I said I meant to say people be
No,
finding.
you told the truth the first time.
I will say this much. I have moved in with a woman before, so many years ago. But I will tell you guys this: if you
How did that
make,
go?
I mean, the relationship ended. There was no long term issues in terms of me not leaving or whatever the case was. I packed myself up in the car one day, picked her up from work, dropped her off, and bounced. But that's how I moved. But I will tell you, fellas and women, this: if you make the mistake of moving an individual and don't do these two things to compound it. One, put the name on the deed or the mortgage or the rental agreement, and two, allowing them to establish a legal residence. And you can do that by allowing them to put their mail on the mailbox and get mail sent to them. Once they do that, they've established residence. That's when you're really in trouble.
See, that's
Just
some
a tip.
niggerish stuff right there.
No, that's legal.
So,
That ain't got nothing to do with ethnicity. That's legal.
so it'd be hard for her to evict you out her own house. First of all, who gonna let you move in their house and put your name on my deed? You ain't vested nothing in this house to put your name on my deed. You ain't vested nothing. You ain't put your name on this. If we gonna be in a relationship together, we gonna go get something together. Cause I'm not moving in your house. You're not moving in my house. The mere thought of that concept is weird and crazy to me. And I'm anal like that. I'm especially like a bed. Like I'm moving your house and sleep in the bed if you slept in the bed with your wife or your girlfriend. Like that's crazy to me.
All I will say is people have done it.
And I think it's weird, and ultimately it brings on other issues.
So, Anetta, so what if it was somebody who relocated and they moved to Texas and they were trying to establish residency down there, and they had to have something proving that this is their address, so they're not allowed to get nothing sent that way or put on the. I know not the. Yeah, that's a lot to ask to be on somebody's deed and all of that stuff, but.
You want me to give you the short answer or the long answer?
You give it to me.
And after she give you the answer, I'll tell you how that works.
Yeah.
You want me to give you the short answer or the long answer?
Give it to me how you want.
No.
Oh wow.
Now the problem that presents for some people is they'll get a slick talking individual who has just been discharged from the military. They're looking to relocate and they need someone's assistance. Right. This is where a lot of people get caught up because they think that an individual has come from that walk of life, that they're an upstanding individual, failing to realize that there are immoral people in every walk of life and they don't do their due diligence. This is why I don't have a problem with her in the background checks. Hey, if you need to do a background check, do them. If you need to ask 100 questions, do them. Shameless plug. Yes, it is.
Yo, Herb, I've been using your questions. FYI, I'm like, I'm in a new place. Who knows? I'm like, yo, you got kids? How many baby mothers you got? The women ever you dated ever had abortions? I've been using your questions.
See?
They wasn't feeling awkward either. They was answering. Military have different residency rules. Yes, they do. They do. They have different rules for them. So that's a little different. But like that whole 80-20 thing, I just say this, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. Most men ain't gonna fall. Most men, and I don't want to say real men because I don't know the difference from a real man and a fake man, because I think if you got something between your leg that's an extra leg, you a man. I don't believe in that fake man, real man. Most men are not going to just allow themselves to be consumed by the woman's world and not take a stand. Okay? Most men don't do that. Okay? And if they do, it's because they absolutely have nothing to lose. And that sounds bad, but it's factual. But my thing is that we date so unhealthy now. You know what I'm saying? Our dating methods is so unhealthy. Think about it. The web, you can perpetrate to be people on the internet, online. You perpetrate to be something you're not. People taking pictures with cars that they can't even rent. They can't even afford to rent them. Okay? And people in houses that are Airbnbs displaying like it's their house. People just live such a perpetrated life and such a life of display just to get likes and to get the interest of someone. And then everything is sexually driven. Everything is sexually driven. So we don't live with the authentic movement anymore. Nobody's authentic. Everybody about themselves right now. No, it's about me. No, I ain't moving that way. I ain't doing this. You know, I said the other day, I said, I'm not, I haven't given up on love, but I think it's very far fetched right now. I think so many people have moved away from the whole trueness of love. And I believe that, love is not the importance of relationships anymore. It's what can you do for me?
Well, one of the things is they say men are incapable of love.
Mm.
I don't
Yeah,
believe men are
heard that
incapable
one before.
of I don't think men are incapable of love. I think what happened is men have been given such a raw deal when it comes to love that now you guys are like, do she deserve that? You know what I'm saying? Should I give her that? And what happened? You end up losing out on somebody who really deserved it because you got such a question mark from the other heifers you had. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I tell David, I ain't trying to give up on love or whatever, but shoot, I think it's far fetched.
Or have men bypass that romantic phase and say, shit, let's just get down to business. I don't have, as they get older, I don't have time to be doing all this. No, I'm not going to woo you. No, I'm not going to do anything. But
Exactly. They don't want to do that. And I
yeah,
think that's where I miss out on that because I still want flowers. I still want to be wooed. I still want somebody to date me. And if you can't do that, I'm at a point that I'm willing to just say, okay, well, you know what? I just got to deal with the fact of being alone because I want what I want.
and oftentimes we always talk about for years, like, again, we talk about going out to eat and different stuff like that where I'm wondering like, okay, going out to eat is fine, but shit, if a woman could cook or whatever the case is, and if a guy could cook, then that's always going to be better than
Oh,
some
yeah.
damn restaurant. But a lot of people, oh no, I mean, it's nothing wrong with going to a restaurant or I mean, don't get me wrong, of course you're going to do it occasionally, but damn, like I always been said, and people are like, oh, you just greedy or you just whatever. Can I get a goddamn sandwich? That's all. Can I get a sandwich? Could you show me you know how to make a good sandwich?
A
Let's
good
start from there.
sandwich, baby.
Hey,
I'm going to tell you the truth. I prefer for our date to be me to cook. I prefer that. I prefer to cook. Okay. I prefer for him to cook. Restaurants is difficult because you can't really talk at a restaurant. You got the waitress keep coming up. Actually, do you want something to drink? Do you want something to eat? You know what I'm saying? You want dessert? Do you want water? You want coffee? It's an interruption all the time. But when you invite somebody over to your home, you're cooking, you're giving them, your best. You know what I'm saying? So I prefer that. But how many men gonna really say, oh, I'm gonna cook you dinner? How many men do that? Besides you, heard. Dave, you cook dinner? I don't even believe
I
it.
ain't cooking nobody no damn dinner.
See?
But see,
Ignorant.
and another to what you're saying, this is how you understand when a guy has stepped into a role of mastery in picking restaurants. There's a way that a man can set up a date and eliminate unnecessary intrusions. But in order for him to do this, he has to one,
Come on,
know.
Shawnee. She said I'm eating a male cooked meal right now. Ask him if he got an uncle, a grandparent.
One, he,
Cletus.
he has he has to know the wait staff. Two, he can't be a cheap tipper. I don't give a fuck who offends. Sorry, Meta. I know that word kind of ruffles your feathers, but I don't care who offends. You can't be a cheap tipper. Got to know the wait staff, and you have to know what the individual you're dining with needs for her meal.
That's true.
If you can master those three things as a guy, you can take a female to the restaurant of your choosing and you can have a fantastic time
You
because
can.
you will eliminate the unnecessary intrusions, hand signals, head tilts, nods, winks, all of that are nonverbal communication. So I could be sitting here having a conversation with somebody and do this. They'll know I want the glasses filled with water. I could do this. They'll know we don't want dessert. I could do this. They'll know we want dessert. because these are the things that I'm actually speaking
So
about.
you over there acting like you a deaf W.
See, and see, once again, like I said, these are the intricacies. I know because I've done service work before.
Come on, Hurt. You going
I,
to
hey,
you going to date with me and you doing all that? I'm gonna look at you and say, okay,
you're not gonna have a clue. You're not gonna have a clue if I sit there and do this because you're not gonna know who's behind you. I'm positioning you so you can't see what I'm doing and who I'm communicating with.
oh, okay, okay, okay. I hear you.
Stick with me. Next level stuff here.
Who
I
taught
don't
you
put
that,
this stuff.
Herb? Who
My
taught you that?
I don't put this stuff out there for no good reason.
I
That's
said
why I
at the
said
end of
you.
the day, I was like, I think we are you. I believe you attract where you are. You attract the temperament that you have. You
Mhm.
attract your emotions you're in. So I said I had to reevaluate what's going on with Anetta because I'm attracting these men that's cheap or they don't want a relationship or they just want to get the poot nanny or they feel like they're gonna keep chasing till they get it. I was like, I need to evaluate myself and see what am I attracting? What am I feeding out?
Yeah.
What type of human perfume am I getting? What was my pheromones are giving out? Because you have to reflect back at yourself. You can't think that, the common saying is you're the common denominator
Yep.
and everything. So I was like, when I talk to David sometimes. He be my sounding board. Until he get real flip on me, then I don't want to talk to him. That's when he trying to get raw with me. Oh, you want to get raw now? You know what I'm saying? But sometimes you have to ask yourself, like, what's wrong with you or what's going on with you in your thought process that you are attracting these type of men or the ones that want to play games. Like, you know what I'm saying? So you have to ask yourself. I don't even look at the man anymore. Like, I'd be disappointed, like, wow, he was disappointed. I thought he was, pretty okay. But I have to look at myself. I'm a self-reflector. I have to look at myself and be like, wow, what are you doing? What are you feeding out? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
That's
I
good.
think a lot of people don't, not only do they not understand that, they don't value genuflecting. And I've said this on this platform before. I turned 30 and I had a situation that I had to deal with, but in order to deal with the situation, I had to withdraw from dating. And I did that for a period of 6 years. No contact whatsoever. And I had to address what it was that I was searching for and the type of women that I was drawing, and more importantly, why. And when I did that, I was better able to understand that it wasn't them, it was always me. And it was, what am I searching for in them that I feel the need to fulfill? Because more often than not, when we date, we're looking to fill a role for someone, whether we think we are or not. We're looking to fill a role because if not, they wouldn't select us. They're selecting us for something that they say, hey, you know what? I like this in my life. I want this to come along with me. So, when something happens, I could turn here. And that's a good thing. We should always want a compliment. We should always want somebody that we could turn to and say, you know what? I like doing this. Do you? Really? Let's go. Let's go do this. Like I talked about the Broadway plays. And I was telling David earlier that I'm looking at going to and I said this, sure, actually, football games, baseball games, hockey games. Like I said, I'm trying to move into Broadway musicals. Those are the type of things that hopefully as at least as a man gets older, he starts to branch off into those things. He starts to want to indulge in the finer things of life. And once he does that, your world opens up and you find a whole different clientele of women that you can deal with. And these are the type of women that you're not going to have to sit there and you're going to have to run game on. You're not going to have to sit there and convince them that you can afford certain things because they're going to know you're there. So obviously you can afford to be there. Now, how you got there in terms of whether you charge or whether you pay cash is a different ball game. The point is that you're there. All some people need is to be there to start to get somewhere. But a lot of people, they're afraid to try. Like I know cats that are my age, 50, that their primary musical genre they love is rap. I moved on from rap. I'm into jazz now. Not that I haven't always been into jazz, but now that's where my focus is. I go back now and I'm starting to pick up some Coltrane, Dizzy Gillespie, Ella Fitzgerald, and I like classical music. So now I start to move up into those endeavors. You're going to find yourself a different clientele, and and unfortunately for a lot of fellas, that clientele means you're going to have to leave some people behind. Don't.
Let me interject on that, Herb. But I know I know that you appreciate movies and quotes from movies, and when you said something about being there, it reminds me of one of my favorite phrases from a movie, "The Thin Line Between Love and Hate." When
Mhm.
got his damn name on the movie, whatever, but he was clearly capping, trying to get with the woman, and she said something to the effect, "This is like a $2 million home." Like kind of like, "Why are you here?" And
Yeah,
Martin responded, said, "I wouldn't be here if I couldn't be here." So sometimes it's cap that guys or women may try to use for that situation to see if they can ride it out. Well, let me see if I can fake it till I make it. And hopefully I'll be able to get through this evening, and then I can add more to it after getting this experience. So you have to be mindful of that as well.
absolutely, absolutely. And personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, provided that the individual is actually serious about trying to get to that next level. Is when you have people who aren't trying to get to that next level that mess around and get caught up in the game. And then they'll do something and then they get the person's goon sent at them. They'll say, well, yo, I didn't know you didn't ask. You didn't do your background. You weren't thorough in what it was that you were getting into. So now you got to deal with them thugs that the person has sent to come to your doorstep. And that's the thing a lot of fellas got to understand is once you cross certain thresholds, you there. So don't go messing with people's feelings. Don't go messing with people's time. And certainly don't go messing with people's money because there's some people who cut your throat for a penny. And it ain't the money, it's the principle.
That 11,000 loan she just hooked you up with.
Yeah, because I will say this much too, in addition to that, a man that's living an unprincipled life is not somebody you want to be around. I will tell you now. If that man is out here living recklessly, living day to day, talking about YOLO, well, man, I only had this one shot, get away from him, especially if he's older, because he's going nowhere. He's doing nothing and he ain't about nothing. I'm gonna tell you now. If you ask me what his plans is for 4 or 5 years out, or where you see yourself in 10 years, and he don't know, leave him alone. Unless you're just
But
in it
he
for a
should
fun
be
time.
working no plan, and he in his late 50s, early 60s. He should already be in the plan and maintaining the plan.
Absolutely not, because for a man, things can change. I say that for this particular reason. I'm 50. I'm looking to transition to a different career. I'm looking to get my pistol permit, get my pilot's license so I can go into security and hopefully do corporate security. So as a man, depending on what you want to do in life is going to determine what your plan is. Now, if you talk about a man that has kids, he's married and all of that stuff, absolutely. That plan should be set. But if you have a man that's single and he wants to transition to something because he sees himself doing something in 10 years and he wants to make more money to afford himself that ability, absolutely he's going to need a plan. Because if he doesn't have a plan, then what's he going to do?
You 50 something years old, you ain't got no 401k or no pension.
Who said that?
I'm just saying.
Who said that?
I'm just saying, any man that's 50 years old don't have a 401k, a pension, and a career that he can retire from and just start another one. I'm concerned.
That's fine. You can be.
Okay, I'm concerned. You know, because I had a guy who just assumed because I moved here that I didn't have a career. He was like, so you just up and move your kids and stuff. And I'm looking at him like, yeah. So what you gonna do with yourself? Like, sir, what do you mean what I'm gonna do with myself? Are you seriously having this conversation with me? I'm saying, what you gonna do with yourself? What are you doing with yourself? I work at my brother's bar security. Really? You about to sit here and try to give me a whole conversation on what I'm doing with myself because I moved 1,400 miles away. And you don't even know what I do.
See, right? That level of questioning lets you know that where he was
He is
at,
there.
because
Right.
somebody who's already got forward thinking skills will already know. Like nobody's just going up and go and make a change like that unless unless it was beneficial to them. Unless you somebody that's down and out on your luck and you need a change in environment, and even then, you still gonna be who you are no matter where you at. So. For people who say I need to get out of here, I need to get out of Buffalo, I need to get out of Falls, I'm about to move, I'm moving out to Cali, I'm moving here. You're still gonna be who you are unless you worked on yourself and you go in there and you got a mission and you got something put in place. You don't want to go nowhere looking through one ads and shit trying to get a job or a come up, because you end up right back where you started off. It has to be like a defined plan, and you kind of know like everything's put in place.
But I looked at that two ways. I looked at it as he thought I was kind of unstable because I moved and I have no kids. My kids and family not here. Then I looked at it as him like, yo, so you must have a little paper. You know what I'm saying? So I looked at it both ways. Like, what you gunning for? What's your question? What are you really trying to ask me? But once I was just chopping him up, like, yo, you asking questions that I don't have to answer, and I'm not gonna answer because you getting too personal, and you acting like you counseling me because I moved. Like, dude, you standing here, you're the security for the cigar spot. Like, are you
Transitional
serious?
coach.
How much you securing? Because most of the people that come in the cigar spot, they not trying to do nothing. They coming in there to relax.
Yep,
So you have
pretty
a
much.
non-fruitful position. David, don't laugh at me.
No, I'm just like you said, thinking about the level of questioning, and the art of questioning is something that a lot of people don't understand or don't take the time. Some people simply just don't have filters, so they don't know what to ask. And sometimes you're just paying attention, being an effective listener to see what next question you're gonna come up with. And you can learn a lot based on that. But that's a whole nother conversation that people don't know about, that 55-38-7 rule. They don't know about that.
Let's see, that's explicitly why the 100 questions are there, so you don't fall into that trap.
Or just do background check at $79.95.
Yeah, but you can. It's hard to do a background check with as a guy if you're trying to cold approach. So you can do a background check.
I think men need to do background checks too. And y'all need to be calling around. Listen, let me tell y'all something. You can't get PHI, but you can definitely find out if somebody on some mental medication. You can find out if somebody has some mental conditions. It's ways to find out if people.
I just ask.
There's ways to find that. Go in that freaking
Pe-
medicine cabinet in they damn
Listen,
bag.
people
Like,
don't
open it up
tell
and you'll
you,
see
oh
that
yeah,
double
I got a
lockbox
mental condition.
medication in there. Like, oh shit. Oh shit. Let me take a
All you
picture of
gotta, but
this
see,
shit.
this is the beauty of that.
You
All you have
might
to do is
tell
ask.
somebody if you talk about, well, I just take this Prozac because I got anxiety. No, you don't. They don't
When you
get
see
out
all
for
that damn
anxiety
medicine on the
support. No,
dresser,
you crazy.
on that nightstand when you roll over, catch a peep of that when she go to the bathroom, whatever, and like, damn, she on some shit.
But see, the funny thing about that, Dave, is I actually know a couple women who are taking that type of medication. I won't say it's specifically what it is, but I know they put that out there.
Yeah, they
And
damn
this is
sure
what I
do.
This,
So
this,
you know
this.
they take medication for mental
Yes,
inability, and
yes.
you okay? You still date him?
I'm not gonna get into that. All I'm gonna simply saying is,
He
I
crazy.
know.
He crazy too. He crazy too.
Hey, Billy Joe said it in the song. He said, you know what? You
No,
might
I'm
be
not
right.
gonna say you crazy because everybody that take mental medication is not crazy. Let me not say
Okay,
that.
I was getting ready to say Billy Joe said in the song.
But
You know what? You might be right. I might be crazy, but I could be just a lunatic you're looking for. Everybody needs somebody to match their level of quote unquote crazy.
oh my goodness. Listen, it's okay because we all got a little crazy in us. Okay, we all do. My biggest thing is know who you dealing with and
Yeah.
be conscious about it and accept what it is. You know what I'm saying? I have a lot of male friends that I'm just friends with, nothing else. And I have accepted that these are my friends, and not only that, I respect the fact of our friendship. But if I start dating a man and get in a relationship, he probably not gonna respect that.
Full disclosure. Gotta let him know from jump
You
what
know,
it is that he's jumping into.
most men don't like that. You know what I'm saying?
And you know what? That kind of ties in to when we talk about the 80-20. When I said like some women they're narcissistic and they go through depression and all that stuff. That's part of the 80-20 because in their heads, because they went through shit in previous relationships that they been told by others or themselves, I'm not settling for this. The next relationship, he got to be doing this or doing that. And this guy could be a good guy, a good catch, but because of your previous experiences and you are sad and down and out about it, that you think you can push that 100% on them and kind of like a all or nothing kind of mindset. Like if they're not doing this or not doing that, then they're not doing nothing good at all. It amazes me how people can hone in. Somebody could have 30, 40 great days of just making you in bliss, you happy and all that. One day happened, something happened.
Bottom falls out.
Yeah, an hour, two, a little spat goes. All of that,
It's called the
another good thing.
elimination. It's the elimination process, David.
No, but still, that don't even add up, and that's why I always say, like, it's an imbalance of stuff. If someone has been, they've been on the up and up, they like, we've been good, but then you can find one little thing to target and kind of discredit all the good time, and that's a lot of people's mindset. Whatever, like the good never really outweighs the bad. A lot of times in relationships.
You know that nigga wasn't no good. He was trying. No, I'm just
See,
kidding.
yeah, exactly, exactly. The
You
one
know he
little
wasn't no
thing.
good. He was talking a good game. He was spitting good juice. That ninja wasn't no good. He was trying to get in them panties and see how far he could go. Then he got in there and he was like, okay, it's the predator and the prey. He conquered.
And that's the mindset that folks have.
That's why you got it, ladies. That's why you got to hold out. Don't give it to him. Don't give in.
You know the funny thing about that, and that is this. I've said on this platform before, women, if you really want to know if he's about that, put it on the table first time you meet him and see what it
Put him
says.
a what?
Put it on the table. Put sex on the table first time you meet him and see what it says. Try his jaw.
Hold
Put
on.
it
He
on,
said if you really want to know what a man about, put sex on the table first.
put it on the table and
He a
see what he
man. He
does.
gonna take it.
You don't know that.
I don't know no man that's not gonna take sex first.
You
When you
don't know
first
that.
meet him, and because he gonna take it. I'm gonna tell you why. Because the first point of attraction is physical, so he
Okay.
gonna take it. You put it on
Okay.
the table, he gonna be like, "What's up? Well, we about to get this in." He gonna take it.
Maybe
I
it's
don't
Okay,
know
mo-
not
maybe
one
it's
man
mother with
that
too
won't
much
take it.
gravy and he don't want all that.
fair enough statement. Now let me ask you this: what if he doesn't?
If he doesn't take it, I will be very, very shocked, and I will have
Okay.
to change my position.
Okay,
Doesn't take it.
so long as you're willing to.
I will be very, very shocked if he doesn't take it. I
So
will be
long as you're
very,
willing to change your position, I'm okay with that.
yeah, I will be very shocked if I said to a man at this stage, I said to a man, and I think I'm a pretty attractive woman. If I said to a man, "Oh, come on, let's go upstairs and handle the business," and he'd be like, "Nah, that's not what I came over here for. I just want to get to know." What?
And see, that's the assumption that's made with a lot of men. Because remember, earlier I said there was a period in my life where I went 6 years without physical contact, and it was in that time period that I turned down a lot of women. When I say things, I don't say it for effect. I say it because I've been there.
Uh-huh.
So
I know
women
some
have.
men that told me. I know some men that told me they wasn't doing that. I don't believe it, but
Well, but it's a different thing from not believing them to when they say it. Because if they put it out there, then you're forced to have to acknowledge that there are men who do that. Now, whether they're lying or not is a different story. But the only way you actually find out if they're lying is if they follow through on that at a later date. And see, this is the credit that a lot of men don't get. They call it monk mode, where a man who has something that he wishes to accomplish has put that on the back burner. He said, "Look, I've been there, done that. If I wanted, it's there, but this is something that I have to get done." And too often, men are told that they prioritize sex over everything. And then when they come to a point where they don't prioritize sex, they have to deal with those questions. So for a lot of men,
I don't know too many men that would turn down sex. I don't know too many men that really not having sex. I think that's full of bull and a
Yeah,
crap.
see,
Um,
and that's
I
where,
just don't. I'm gonna be honest with you. I just don't. I got brothers and cousins.
and they
I
don't.
just don't know too many that men that be like, "Oh no, I'm not having sex. Oh no, I'm not."
So,
You lying?
so let me say this. So you don't think that none of that is times that a woman can like, okay, he coming over here, and they throwing on a best little attire. He may not be more. It may be something that day or during that time he going through something that he's like, "Yeah, I'm just not. I'm not here for that. I just wanted to come over here to chill, to talk, or whatever the case
Yeah,
is.
I think
He
that
never made a move, or whatever the case is. Then you start saying, shit, what the hell wrong with him? Like, I'm not attractive, or whatever the case is. And you very well could be, but his mental is just not there. So
I
for
think
women to
that
think
happened. I
like
mean, I
dudes
call
just
myself.
grind on anything that move, that's just nonsense. It's
I
nonsense.
I think that does happen. I think that does occur. That a man turned down a woman because he sees more in her. I think that happens. I don't think it doesn't occur. It doesn't happen. But I'm not gonna say it happened often.
Because he can say to himself, I know where this is gonna lead to if I take this route. If I start smashing or doing whatever, it's gonna it's
David, you
not
too old to be saying smashing.
listen, when you were part of that culture or whatever, I could have said make love or have sex and all that, but that's boring as hell. Smashing. So anyway, so if you may not be at that point. So it's crazy that people think that you just may not like you may not just it's not like respond that you don't have no response, but you know that if I go there, then this shit gonna get out of control. And I really the last relationship I had went this way. So I
mhm.
don't really want to even take it
And you
there.
can't have sex without having emotions involved.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna have emotions, good, bad, or indifferent, one way or the other. It ain't always got to be those type of emotions. It could be something like, shit, okay, I'm gonna go here, do what I got to do, and I'm out. And I don't have too much emotional attachment to it. In fact, I don't desire to speak to her throughout the day, only at a certain time. Eh, that's when we converse or whatever the case is. It's a lot to this. It's a lot to it. And a lot of it has to do with people backgrounds and their different experiences. We just can't say, oh man, oh, if I come through Darton with this song, he gonna respond this way or whatever. He may look at you like you look stupid. You look stupid with that old. Like, why you got that old?
Yeah.
And see,
Let me
I mean,
see.
I've done it. Go ahead, Dave.
I'm gonna read Marcia's comment. She said, I met a guy who lived out of state, and the entire evening was great, but he was never, but we never had sex. It made me start to internalize the possibility that he was gay or he found me unattractive, even though we were remain friends until his death. Realizing that everybody isn't for everyone, and I expect that. I respect that. Okay.
Yeah, but why, as women, if a guy don't want to have sex with her, we all automatically think he gay?
That's the default reaction, and they have to. It's almost innate that they have to figure out why a man is capable of overriding his biological urges because they're taught
I
to the.
automatically think this guy I was dating was gay. I mean, I later found out he was gay,
I,
but
I'll
I
I'll
was
tell you this.
gay
Go
because
ahead.
I
I'm
never
sorry,
met him.
Netta.
Now I just thought his thing was I want to marry you. That's why I'm turning you down. I want to marry you. I later find out when we broke up that he liked men. But my thing is, I didn't automatically like, oh, he gay because he don't want to. I mean, I was like, okay. Now I may have thought I wasn't attractive to him. I thought I wasn't appealing to him because I laid naked in the bed next to him and nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But I never automatically think, oh, he gay. You know what I'm saying?
It's the whole case of damned if you do, damned if you don't. As a man, sometimes you can't win. So I always tell people, if you can't win, don't bother trying to play the game. And it reminds me of the situation I had when I was working security at the casino. A group of sisters. This is probably now about 16, 17 years ago. So I was in my mid 30s at the time. Casual conversation arose. They asked me if I was married, kids. I answered no, 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 no. And then one of the family members comes up and she has that look on her face. I said, go ahead and ask the question. She looks and responds, how do you know what question I'm going to ask? I said, because inevitably it comes up. She said, well, are you? I said, no, ma'am. I said, I'm not. I said, I'm just not interested. Those are the things that men have to fight consistently because, like I said, because they override that primal urge. Because a lot of women are taught and they grow up thinking that a man can't turn down sex, that if he turns down sex, something's wrong with him. And if something ain't wrong with him, then something's got to be wrong with me. And it's just not that, hey, like David said, it's just not the time. Some things for him may not be correct. I know I've done that as a person in high school. I've done that in my 20s. I've done it in my 30s. So for me, it's nothing to just walk away from a woman and say, look, I'm not interested in what you have between your legs. I like where our relationship is right here, and I'm going to keep it here. And there's nothing you can do that's going to change that. That's the power that men have that they don't wield. And it's unfortunate that men don't wield that power because if they did, they would find that the dynamics between them and a lot of women would change.
And the thing about it is, like, we also often talk about that growing up, women are girls are usually more sexually aggressive than boys, contrary to what people think. And I could tell you a personal story in my case, whatever. I'm a young lad, just turned. I don't know how I turned, maybe 16 or something. I'm going through the projects. Some young lady stopped me. Hey, David, ain't it your birthday today? Yeah. What you doing? I'm about to head over, go, holler at my grandparents or whatever the case is. Then she's like, well, before you go over there, can we hang out? This chick, she was trying to give me the work, real work. Now, granted, I think I was 16. Probably she was probably, I don't know. I would say maybe like 14 or something.
Oh, damn.
And yeah. So, or either it might have been 17, 15. I don't remember exactly, but she was trying, and I really didn't respond the way that she uh, wanted to. So in her head, like she didn't put it out there like that, but I was always concerned that she was gonna say, "Oh, he gay," or whatever the case is, because I was trying to give it to him right then and there, and he didn't take it. And my thing was like, I I just wanted wanted stuff to be right. I'm not trying to be behind no bushes or whatever the case is. I wanted it to be right, but again, like some women are more aggressive than men, but we always get labeled. Like guys never say to women if they turning out, oh, she must be gay. She must be into women
Yeah.
or whatever the case is. That's why she didn't do anything. But if a guy, it's like
Nah,
this
I don't
ain't
believe
right.
that.
This ain't right. Then uh, we're labeled as they come up with that stuff. You say you don't believe
Now
it.
men do say that because I had a guy tell me. I turned
What
him
guy
down.
really?
He was like, "You wearing that butch hairstyle? You must like women." I was like,
Oh, damn.
Yeah. See, that's
That's
just
different.
and then
Yeah.
I came right out because my mouth was flipped. I said, "Nah, I just don't like faggots. That's why I ain't gonna talk to you."
you say you don't like what?
I said, "I ain't like faggots. That's why I ain't gonna talk to you."
I'd have been cracking up about a minute earshot within earshot of that one because that's an uppercut. That's throwing the white towel, son.
And
You might as well
listen,
pick up your
cause
face and just
no,
walk on off.
listen. I try to be nice, but don't come for me. Okay.
Yeah, and you supposed to send me back to talk to his representative and say, hey, yo,
Listen,
you got to clean that up.
he was standing there like, I like you need some lipstick, bro. Your mouth open.
I'd have been cracking up. I'm gonna tell you, that's funny. Cause that's if I'm feeling in the foul mood, that's something I would say
They
to
look at
somebody.
me like I'm so disappointed in you
Oh
and
no, I'm not
that.
disappointed. I'm just the fact that a guy would even, like I said, most guys don't even come with that approach with women. They may say, "Hey, I gotta go back to the lab and see what I could do next."
No,
Yeah,
no, these guys now be like aggressive. If you don't, kind of comply when they hitting on you. I'll have men in the gas station try to hit on me. Oh, want me to pump your gas? No, I'm good, thank you. Oh, you on that independent shit? Yeah, go ahead, pump your gas. I hope you get gas all over you. I'm like, what? I start laughing. I'll be like, really?
yeah.
Is
See,
that
that's a nonsense. I don't understand guys who do that. There's no rhyme, no reason for a man who's putting himself out there on a cold approach to not be able to take that L and say, you know what, I gotta hold that. That's how it came because that's how I put it out there. So men that do that, they do themselves and their fellow men a disservice by doing that because all they do is reinforce the notion that men can't accept rejection.
right?
Yes. So either they had it easy growing up for whatever circumstances, or they just got older and they're getting tired of rejections or whatever the case is. But for the most part, anybody with any good common sense or compassion, yeah, you took that L, you keep it moving. Okay, no
Yeah,
problem, and you keep it moving, and that's that. Like no hard feelings. I don't know you, you don't know me, so I'm gonna keep it moving,
yeah.
and you go back to the lab and figure out what you could do next time. Um, it's we're in a crazy time with everything that's going on, especially with relationship wise of trying to build with other people, and we have all these different barriers, some different mindsets that people are coming to the table with, And the reason why, because you see so much on social media, you see so many different things, so much information is coming at people, and I don't even think they can even download or adjust it. They just trying to do stuff on the fly instead of taking their time and processing and figuring out what's the best move to make with certain individuals. So that's that 80-20. We're gonna move on to the next one, where we had talked about, again, kind of ties in.
I'm gonna give y'all 10 more minutes, then I got
Okay,
it.
we appreciate that. Appreciate any of your time. Um,
Oh, you so sweet.
I try to be. I try to be. I try to be sometimes. But we keep talking about with the young, this young generation, like who's teaching these young men and these women to be, these boys to be men and these young girls to be women, if it's not happening at home. Where are they? Where are they learning these skills from? How do we move forward? Because as the old saying goes, that's our future. And certainly, like I always say, we put too much emphasis. Well, of course, schools is supposed to be about academics, but we know that that's not the case, because if it was, you wouldn't deal with none of the social shit, whatever. They're like, yo, you got to go, whatever. We don't deal with this. There's a place for you. They would design schools just for behavior purposes, but they don't. So, and I always say, all this stuff need to be restructured, and it needs to be a 50-50 split. That it ain't all about academics, it's about social too, because a lot of times what we need in schools is like one-stop shops, that every when I say everything, every little thing you can think about needs to be in the school, needs to be, whether it's a part of the school that you have, um like for food and like different things that family could come and pick up for, like meals, dinners and stuff like that. Even on the weekends, they need to have that. Drug and alcohol, they need to have it. They need to have department motor vehicles or some representative in there. They need to have all it. They need to have anything you can think about needs to be in the school, at this stage of the game. And that would be like if I was someone who had, what's his name, the dude from the owner of Amazon and all that, what's his name, Basil or something. Like
Oh,
if I
Jeff
had
Bezos.
yeah, if I had money like that and Warren Buffett money, that would be the model school that I would build. And they'd be like, oh, that shit, they'd be like, oh, that shit lit his school. You get whatever you want, whatever. Even sometimes it may be like, okay, this family needs to stay here. We got a wing of this school here for that. Like, because other than that, this shit ain't working. What we doing? I keep
Well, the
saying that.
thing also you got to keep in mind, people have changed through a way. It takes a village. You can't say nothing to nobody kid now. If you say something, it's gonna cause an issue. You work in the school system, you already know. These kids
Yeah.
be like, say something, I'm gonna call my mom and my daddy. So y'all couldn't work in the school
And
system.
you
I
know,
would be in jail.
and you have certain staff that's about to say, call them. In fact,
Yeah,
you want me to call them for you?
yeah,
Let's call them on speakerphone.
yeah.
So that's where you got to be. But a lot of times you have, see, where the system falls is the better teachers teach at the cushy schools where they don't have to do much. Those are the gifted and
Mhm.
talented kids, and they like, it ain't too much concerns. We might have one or two knuckleheads, and all the new teachers that come into the industry, they send them to the rougher schools. So what's gonna
They don't
happen?
make it. Yeah,
Yeah, what's
yeah.
gonna happen? So in order for you to change it, you have to probably take some of them teachers that's got the cushy positions. Like, yo, you need to go over here. You got the skill set or whatever the case is. But then they say, shit, I didn't put in all these years. Why the hell I want to go back and do that? So it's a system divided by so many different things. So I don't know if we got the answer to how to make these kids. I mean, we can all do our part individually, like far as our children and all that stuff, but But when you think about the masses of people, like, what are we gonna do?
I, you know what? This I posted day before. Was it day before yesterday or yesterday? There was a situation for those of you who follow sports. Buffalo Bills had released a kicker with a promising career due to an accusation of gang rape. And one of the things that I was talking about on the post was that young men aren't taught the perils of dealing with underage girls, questionable decision making, and the consumption of alcohol. Now, I don't know if there needs to be some national um, academic setting to where these things, in addition to what David was talking about, can be set up or at least can be taught so that these kids come out on the other side better. Because let's face it now, we are in the midst of a transition, a generational transition to where a lot of things are going to come to a confluence. And the people who are going to get caught up in this are people on the lower social economic run of the scale. Not those in the well to do, but those in the lower echelons who don't get the social education, who don't have the parents to understand certain situations can lead to questionable decision making. So when you get these kids, and it doesn't matter what ethnicity they are, they're still living in a situation to where questionable decision making comes into play, especially when you talk about getting into college, because the number one alcohol is the number one issue on college campuses. So if you're talking about date rape or roofies or anything associated in the college party environment, usually alcohol is playing a role. So these are the things that a lot of these kids, they just simply put, don't know, haven't had any experience with it, and their parents don't have the wherewithal to sit down and teach them about these particular situations. So if the parents don't have the wherewithal, and it reminds me of sex ed, a lot of parents they were against sex ed. But if you ask the parents what are they teaching the kids about sex ed, this or nothing, they'll learn as they grow. Well, is that really what you want your students to go through? Is that really what you want your kids to go through? They out here sexually active and they end up conceiving a child. Now either the state has to step in to help that child, or that child becomes a burden to the parents while the father might be off running around doing anything. Or he may not even know. Is that really the environment that we want to set up for the youth coming behind us? Or do we want to give them the information so they can make sound decisions, so that the foundation that they're building upon is a solid foundation and not a rocky foundation? Far too often, these kids are set adrift on a sea, no rudder, no oars, and wherever they end up, it seems like people don't care. And I think that's something that really needs to change.
Mhm.
Anything you want to add to that, Nurse Anetta?
I agree with him 100%. And again, people think that structure happens in school. It happens at home first.
Mhm.
If your child don't have structure at home, they coming to cause havoc at school. Okay, because kids they they need structure, and we have so many unstructured children that become unstructured adults. Okay, so it's a lot to that. It's a lot to look into that. It's a lot to play into that. And I think now it's hard because people roles have definitely reversed. You have a lot of women that's supposed to be women of wisdom. Now they want to be their daughter best friend or their niece's homegirl. And it's like, no, we supposed to be models for them. We supposed to be examples for them. How can I be an example if I'm sitting there smoking weed with you? How can I be an example if I'm sitting here giving you, oh, you want to know my body counts? You know what I'm saying? How can I be an example when I'm too much trying to be on your level? And so it's sad. And the same thing with men. You got your pants hanging. down and your little belt buckle out. It ain't even real Versace. You don't went to the corner store where they got a little sneaker sale and got your little fake Versace buckle, and you gonna have it sticking out your shirt like you got it going on, bruh. It's not real. That's not a lion on there. That's a dragon. You know
Uh,
what I'm saying? But I mean, just people. uh, People just don't want to be in the position that they're supposed to be in anymore. No one
Yeah.
wants to be accountable for being a mature, wise adult and making mature, wise decisions. Everybody want to be relatable on this young. Like I used to be scared and fearful of getting older. And I remember one time I was taking a shower about a year and a half ago. I went to raise my urn up and I looked and thought it was soap still on my urn. And I just kept scrubbing and rinsing. I looked again, I was like, oh my God, I got gray hair under my urn.
uh,
I think you talk about my day was shattered. I was like, oh my God, I got gray hair under my urn. I was so shattered. I was so shattered. And I never forget saying something to my daughter, and she was like, you getting older, you should be happy. A lot of people your age don't. And I was like, well, dang, you gotta be that drastic. But it really made me think like you at an age where people you knew you went to school with, whatever, didn't make it. So why are you being so shattered because you're aging gracefully? Chill out. You know what I'm saying? Relax. So I
that's
don't
true.
have that fear. I was like scared to go to sleep for like weeks because I thought, oh God, I seen the gray hair. I might die in my sleep now. I'm getting old. You know, all that stuff was running through my head, you know? But I'm not in that place no more. So now I'm embracing getting older. I'm okay when I'm at work and people be like, okay, Mama Nana. I used to be like, don't call me Mama, you know? Now I'll be like, oh, sweetie, you know, you get okay with it. But a lot of people are not okay with being. I never forget this lady. She was older than me about 20, 30 years. And I have a habit of calling older women mom, mom, mom something. Because I always want to acknowledge them as being, you know, mature women and somebody I honor and respect. This older lady turned around, she was like, I ain't your mama.
Mm.
Mm.
I ain't your mama. I ain't your mama. I was so like, oh, okay. You will not get that again. Trust me, Heifer. Not yet. Okay? You won't get that again. I really didn't call her Heifer. I basically was like, okay, Miss So and so. And she was like, you ain't got to put no Miss on it. I was like, ma'am, I'm going to say Miss So and so. Okay? But people don't want that. They don't want that honor and that respect no more.
Some people are not comfortable with the aging process because they probably didn't feel they did enough throughout that time. So they still chasing that silver bullet of trying to be young and trying to defeat father time. Like
Yeah.
people tell me, oh, you know you should dye your beard for what? For what? Like, how long am I going to be able to do that? Like, who's going to keep up that maintenance and trying to fight that when really, shit, I'm 52. It's going to happen, and I've been graying for a long time, but it's the way
Mm-hmm.
you keep it up. That's the thing. Whatever your ass could be 70, you got a jet black beard. Anybody who look at you can know. Say, they got issues. They got issues. No one 70 has jet black this or that or hair full of hair that's black and all that. They not comfortable with who they are. So that lets you know right there. So, but you have a lot of people that still want to be young, and like you said, and that still want to be the best friends of the teenagers and this and that, and they're afraid to have courageous conversations with people because they're not comfortable with who they are. So they still trying to chase it, and you see it all the time. Like, she is too old to be wearing that. or his ass know he shouldn't be wearing them sneakers or whatever the case is or whatever. So it's stuff out there, people starting to do videos and type of stuff on that, like when you get older, like this is how you should look, this is how you should dress or whatever the case is. So it's wild, but we definitely have to be consistent examples for the youth. They have to be able to see you as they always they who they are, who they say they are. They always gonna continue to be, and you'll find out that they'll respect you more because they already know what they're gonna get out of you. They studied you. They watch every move you make. They peep you up and down, and I can tell you, from working in the schools, I can wear a pair of sneakers on Friday, and all of a sudden I got a freaking hot ass date. And if a matching head, Mr. Glover, where you going tonight? You just you dripping. What? Like I got those some damn sneakers and some jeans. Nah, it's just something different, whatever. Like you spend too much time focusing on me. Oh, and then you got your beard all lined up or whatever. After I got it, went to the
They
bar.
scoping you.
Yeah, they that's the stuff they do. I'm like, please stop, please stop. You gonna tell us about it on Monday? You got you a date, whatever. They're watching you. They're watching. And when you're somebody don't fit the bill, and they think you fronting, they gonna say it too. They so phony that you see such and such. That's not even how they really dress or whatever the case is. Kids are geniuses. They study it all.
They do. And they remember everything.
That sounds like a Noble Rockwell song. Somebody's watching me.
Well, y'all have a good night.
All right, thank you for joining us.
Thanks
You're
for
welcome.
joining us.
I love y'all guys. I gotta go to sleep.
All
Look,
right.
I look toe up.
Hey, we all getting to that age where sleep becomes primary.
Look at Annetta. She trying to figure out the way to process it. This ninja just said, "Take your ass to bed. Good night." Yeah.
Now you know I'm a little slower
Yeah.
tonight because I'm sleepy. I can't have that.
It ain't nothing there. It ain't nothing there. Annette. It
I'm
ain't
gonna
nothing
remember
there.
this. I'm gonna get you next week. I might be sleepy, but my mind ain't gone.
Yeah. It ain't nothing
Have a
there.
hottie toddy. Go ahead, put yourself
All
to
right.
bed.
Good night, love
Take
y'all.
Good
care.
night.
Yeah, man, that situation with that Buffalo Bills player, it was unfortunate, man. I mean, this country, it has a unique history with alcohol. Dating back to actually 100 years from now when prohibition was all the rage. And for people that don't know, all the things that came out of prohibition, one of the huge things that came out of prohibition was NASCAR. So, and a little history behind that. NASCAR was developed literally in the backwoods of the South. They were souping up cars to be able to outrun the police. So, hollowing out the bottoms of cars, making them lower to the ground so they can move quicker, uh, experimenting with different types of fuel to make the cars run faster, making them lighter, engines bigger. All of that stuff spawned NASCAR. So if you wonder why NASCAR is so big in the South, that's one of the reasons why. Also, for those of you who don't know, and I don't know how many people don't know, that's where John Fitzgerald Kennedy's father made his money, was in bootlegging. You go back to Chicago, Al Capone, speakeasies, bootlegging, alcohol. So this country has a love affair with alcohol. And I think we need to get a handle, especially as adults. We need to get a serious grip on how these kids are brought into that culture of drinking. I'm not saying anything's wrong with drinking. You want to have a drink, fine, do so. Do so responsibly. But when we talk about 17 to 21-year-olds, especially in this country, because Canada has a different set of laws. They start drinking at 19. If you go to Europe, wine is a staple at some tables. So you have kids that are 13 and 14 who are brought into that culture of drinking, but they don't drink to get drunk. You have a lot of college parties where hazing and alcohol go hand in hand. So you get something that gets out of hand and alcohol's involved, all of a sudden now you dealing with a whole different litany of things. Cases that could remain on a college student's record for the rest of their life, and it impacts the ability for them to get a job. We had a situation like that in Lewiston, I think a year and a half ago, where the parents of a student, I think this parent was involved in education somehow or the law, had an underage party at their house,
Mm.
and there was accusations of underage drinking with parents who are well-to-do who should know better. But yet and still, here they are with a house full of kids consuming alcohol. This is why I made the statement earlier about this reaching across all lines, all ethnicities, because all these kids are drinking. At some point, they start to drink. So they need to be educated on the responsibilities that they have to themselves and to each other, to ensure that none of them get caught up in a potential criminal case that could derail their future. And I don't know if we need to allocate money to it or we need to allocate another semester on a high school to where this is taught in earnest with some other life management skills. Because go ahead, David.
And know where they need to have these type of conversations and programs probably outside of school or whatever you could give it to these kids in the rawest form, because no one's going to tell you about that type of stuff, gang raping, gang banging, and all of that stuff. That stuff was a part of our culture.
Yeah.
I never got into it because it was gross to me. I never wanted to be with someone that three or four of my friends were just with, and we were it just didn't seem right. And I always thought, like, wow, she's got to be very low of herself to put herself out there like this. And wasn't even with like the alcohol and all of that stuff. It probably was very little alcohol involved. And you have to have these conversations, unfortunately. And I mean, you can have it with your individual sons or daughter, but I don't know if it soaks in that much, because they say that's just mom or just dad. They just talking. They always got something to say. But I think the ability to have it with like in a group setting and having these conversations and talk about different scenarios would probably do these kids a world of different. But no one's really putting that effort out there or anything with these social programs. Is always talking about, oh, we need programs for tutoring, academics, but none of that shit matter if you can't behave as a
Yeah.
human. If you
Yeah.
can't behave, you be smart as hell, but if you can't behave, like I always say, my freaking class valedictorian end up the day the day before our graduation ended up killing his mother, and
Hmm.
then went on to pull off a bunch of shit like in Canada, fake identities, this and that, raping girls and all that. So suddenly, somebody that was a genius academically has shit going on socially that no one ever addressed, which I think is cool. Think it's
Hmm.
cool because federal money puts out there, oh, take these tests and all that stuff, whatever. It's all good. But no one thinks about human behavior, how people act. Like I said, you could be smart as a damn whip, but if you don't know how to behave, right, it doesn't matter. That's why you have these people that's rich and CEOs and all that stuff, and then they be caught up in
Yeah.
sexual allegations and stuff like that, And you're like, how could you have that much money? Because they never was told how certain things you should do, certain things you shouldn't do or say. We got it all wrong. We got it all wrong. And the thing is, you only listen to people who got money. Uh, That's
Right.
uh that's how we're designed. They don't know what they talking about. But if I can tell you right now, if me and Hurt was sitting here and we both was millionaires, this shit'll be totally different. You have
Mhm.
all types of shit flowing through whatever, but we only we only this system we only based on how much money you have, and that determines how much power you have. And unfortunately, some of the people in power with mega money is the ones who socially can't adapt to certain things. So we got a lot going on.
Yeah. Because I that's one thing, but then there's another pressing issue that I think the country suffers from, and that's that's reform when it comes to law enforcement and police brutality. That's something that I was going to tackle before the whole George Floyd situation occurred, and then I had to put that on the back burner because I didn't want to attract the wrong type of people, and that's something I'm gonna have to get together with a bunch of people and just trying to kind of flush out and see where this type of process can actually go, because I think it's given what I believe is going to come down the pipe in terms of domestic issues. I think we're going to need a police force that can not only deal with the increase the increased workload they're going to have in terms of domestic issues, because I think domestic issues are really going to be front and center now, more so than they've ever been. So, the increased workload with that, the increased workload with, I shouldn't say workload because it's not necessarily a workload, just the increased encounters they're going to have with people that have mental health issues. Because police are really not equipped to deal with mental health issues. I know people say they're the first ones to be called, and why can't they have a mental health care professional right along with them when you're dealing with liability issues, especially if there's a situation where somebody who has diminished capacity is armed with a firearm or with some other type of lethal weapon. So there's a lot that needs to be flushed out.
Yeah. And I don't you know, my whole thing admission is this is to have these conversations. I'm not saying we're the ones got all the solutions and all the answers, but at least you have to start talking about it and recognize that there's the problem. And I think it starts by talking about that, because a lot of people they kind of sweep everything under the rug unless it deals with them personally. And but you also should think this: all of this shit is personal. All of it is personal. When you
Mhm.
step out the house and you're in your community and different things is going on, it's personal.
Yeah.
It's personal when somebody's in front of your yard and they're littering, and or kids playing football in your grass and no one's saying anything, and they're you know tearing down your property or establishment. It's personal. So that's how we have to look at it. But you have certain communities, they have block clubs, they do this and that, and they try. I just really, I don't, like I said, I don't have the answer. I just like to talk about these conversations and hope that it could lead to more further discussions.
And I will say this: block clubs are a fantastic way of A, getting to know who your neighbors are, B, policing your community. And when I say policing, I don't necessarily mean being law enforcement, but it's the old adage: if you see something, say something. If you get people in a half a square mile, all coming together to improve the security in their neighborhoods, whether you see people, let's look at it like this. My neighborhood, I see a lot of transient traffic, more so than I have in recent years. And for the most part, they're cool. But now what I'm seeing is a lot of people riding dirt bikes up and down the streets, wrong direction. And because they've redone my street, I see an increased speed in traffic. One night I was out looking for my cat. Dude comes down the one-way street in the opposite direction, and then he makes a left-hand turn down my street, which is also a one-way street. Black car, no headlights, doing about 45, 50 miles an hour. Just imagine if a kid runs out in that street. You're dealing with a whole different set of circumstances. And I'm screaming at the guy, yo, you going the wrong way, blip, 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 blip. Turned around, made the right, and keep going. No police, nowhere. Not to say that it was the police's fault that this individual was engaged in reckless behavior, but this is where your block clubs can be a stopgap between law enforcement and crime. Cameras, they are an invaluable source. So if your neighborhood is suffering from a rash of robberies, whether there be break-ins or just people taking things off a porch, get yourself a $300-400 camera system. Something happens, get that information to the police. Nobody else has to know what you've done. I know we a lot of elderly people that wonder about retaliation. Well, people can't retaliate if they don't know what actually is going on or who's telling. But sometimes we have to help clean up our own neighborhoods. And in doing that, we make the community safer for everybody.
Yeah, and that's big with the people just going down streets, residential areas at a high speed. I was just sitting outside yesterday and I'm like, why are you going 50, 60 miles per hour down the street, running stop signs, knowing it's kids on the street, knowing there's
Mhm.
kids. And when it's hot weather, there's going to be kids. Like, I never understand it. Parking lots and all that stuff, you want to speed, you asking for it. You're asking for a lifetime of pain. If a kid just suddenly steps out or rides out on their bike and you're going at a speed, you're done. I don't I don't even understand how you build up enough courage to ride down in a residential area with that speed. And again, when you mentioned about the dirt bikes, they talk about that too. Pulling out the dirt bikes, people riding around and stuff like that. I just think people have this attitude they can do what the hell they want because if it's no known presence of law enforcement right there, shit, we'll try our luck to the next time. And people are doing
I
it
know in
more
New
and
York
more.
City, I saw they created a task force to take them off the street, and they had these unlicensed, unregistered dirt bikes and scooters lined up by the hundreds, bulldozing them, and I was just like, for a moment I was like, damn, how the hell did you do that? And then when I found out what the reasoning was behind it, I said, go ahead, because they are a nuisance. And I can't tell you how often I'm sitting on my porch and I hear a motorized bike come shooting down the street. I'm thinking, if you go out into an intersection and there's a car coming, you can't stop
Mm.
because those brakes are not designed to stop a bike traveling at that rate of speed. You dead. And you can have some poor suspecting driver who's going to have to drive around with the memory of them killing somebody because somebody was doing something that they had no business doing.
Yeah. So it's a lot. So we try to talk about these different conversations and stuff like that, and depends on the week. Sometimes it's well received, sometimes it's not, but it still never stops the focus of still trying to get out the message because whether you play it back or whatever the case is, somebody's gonna tune in and say, "Damn, that was a legitimate point," or maybe take the content and run with it on their platform. But we have a lot going on, and it's it, for me, it's only gonna get worse because we never stopped the bleeding at the initial stage. So
Mm-hmm.
here we go again. Another school year about to start. Chaos, shortage of teachers,
Yeah.
shortage of transportation, no bus drivers coming to get kids, which lead to frustrated parents that may have to leave work. Now they got to deal with their supervisors and stuff. And it's just a culture built on anger and frustration. Why is that? Why is it a shortage of teachers? Well, probably because teachers been disrespected for so many years, and which probably should be one of the highest paid professions, top five easily,
Hmm.
easily. There's no other profession that has an impact on every other profession that they can say, well, I learned this from a teacher. Wherever you go, whatever those top professions, there was some professor, some teacher, some educator that schooled them or they had to learn from. So why on the lower level, y'all think it's okay not to pay teachers? Why? Because ain't nobody skip to the Lewin like, oh, I want to be a teacher
Yeah.
nowadays. They're not.
Yep.
Those days is over. You got money. You got to drop that money. Unfortunately, you drop the money, people will say, oh, I'll go back into that. But other than that,
Hmm.
yeah, fishing without a fishing pole. So if my district, as the superintendent, whoever could be watching this is the y'all fishing without a fishing pole. If y'all think that people gonna race down to deal with disrespect, frustration, and all that stuff on a daily basis with 25 to 30 kids in each class, uh, and this is on the secondary level, middle school, high school, and think it's okay to say, oh, we're gonna pay you this and that. Yeah, y'all gonna have to sweeten the pot. Until then, you're gonna continue to have shortages. Then what you're gonna have is people, the veterans, say, "Shit, I'm out of here. About to
Yeah.
retire. Can't do it.
Yeah.
I'm over it. I can take this and I can start doing my own little thing, and still get my little pension, and then do this and that, and I'm still gonna make out like a bandit." So,
Hmm.
got a lot to think about, folks.
Yeah. Like you said, another September is rolling around, and like anything that isn't given triage, it's going to get worse. The only thing I can say on the personal level is I don't have any relatives that are at least in Niagara Falls that's in the immediate school district. My two nephews that were sons of my brother, they've graduated, they've moved on. So now I just kind of sit back now and I ask myself, well, what can I do from an aspect of trying to influence policy? And this is where, you know, my understanding of things and how I can help resides. And I tell anybody that even if you don't have school kids in the enrolled in school and in the district, look to impact policy, because I'll be the first to tell you, some of these boards that serve in your school districts, they're clueless. The teacher shortage has been an issue for years. The busing shortage in terms of drivers has been coming down the pipe. They get these numbers every year. Every year the budget comes up, they get projections. So they know. So this isn't new, despite what they might tell you. This just means that there's been a lack of preparation on their behalf. And I said this when I ran for school board, and I'll say it again. The board's job, any board, doesn't matter what company it is, what they oversee, is to deal with all issues, whether they're temporary issues, permanent issues, or issues yet to come. That's why they are there. And there are a lot of boards and a lot of people sitting in these boards that are ineffective. So if your district is struggling and they can't fill gaps, I know in Niagara Falls, I think the classes for the high school have been pushed up. I want to say 20 minutes. I'm not faulting anybody, but I'm holding them responsible, saying you guys need to come up with a solution. Not now, not tomorrow, but yesterday. This is the opportunity that this district has to be the bellwether for a situation, as opposed to sitting back waiting to see what everybody else does, then try to follow that. Get out front. Be the shining example, saying, we come up with a solution. We come up with a blueprint that everybody else can emulate. That's how you actually pull yourself out of the mire. The money's there. The question is, are people willing to spend it?
It's true. Yeah, they come up with all types of money for when they need to, but some of the basic level stuff where it needs to be spent on, you got to take care of that because you every year we're always going to go into a deficit. So every
Mhm.
school year, personnel, staff, and all that, you're going into with a with a deficit, and some of the high powers to be. I sit behind them nice wooden desk that's polished and such and such, nothing on your desk, and you're sitting back and you say, "Oh, you need to call back to the school and let them handle it," or whatever the case is. It's it's a lot to be said, um, and that's a part of even this talking point number two. Like, who's going to teach these kids to be adults? Um, but we have so many fractured systems before kids become adults that what can we do? What can we do? I mean, some kids are gifted in sports, but that's a small percentage.
Mhm.
That's a small percentage. You got a better chance of have putting money into, again, like we always talk about, trades and stuff like that, where you could get like kids into programs to be carpenters, electricians, or even young ladies. They might want to do some of that, but like cosmetology and different things like that. That's where we need to invest money into. Having people come into those and like, okay, yeah, you're gonna sign up for this summer program for 6 weeks, and this is gonna lead you to this. And if you have programs like that that short term that can lead to them to something, and they find success, I tell you, it'll change communities around. It'll change young people around. But that's not what y'all really want to do anyway. Y'all got a bigger agenda anyway, because it's more money for other things. So I don't know.
And you know what the funny thing is, we always hear about the unemployment rate in certain sections of the country. Actually, now throughout the country, districts that are short bus drivers, guess what they could do with their outgoing graduating class? You could immediately fill every shortage you have over the summer. Get those kids who are not going to college, who are not going to the military, who have not enrolled in any certification, get them on the track to getting a CDL. You get those kids on track to getting a CDL, guess what you've done? You've employed those kids in the district and you've dealt with your busing shortages. That's a bone out there that nobody's probably thought of that's available. 2 dozen, 3 dozen, whatever it is that you need in terms of driver. Like I said, the money's there in the budget. If they want to address it, that's one of the ways you can address it. You got kids who are pretty much clean in terms of their criminal records. Some will have a driver's license. About you can help them get the driver's license. Roll out the program. Do something.
Yeah, because other than that, those are going to be the same kids that's going to be knocking you out upside your head, trying to take from you. And even down here, and I don't know, it's probably down here that young kids that want to work,
Yeah,
they want jobs at McDonald's and stuff like that, and they're told, oh, we're looking for somebody that's 18. Excuse my language. Why the fuck does somebody want to graduate from high school and decide that they want to jump into McDonald's, or do you train them at 15 or 16 to have those jobs so that eventually, hey, they could go into college and say, well, I work here on the weekends or whatever the case is, or is that y'all plan to say we want grown ass people working at these spots, and these kids, they got to be grown before they even get working opportunities.
Right.
Make the shit make sense. If somebody, if you say they can work at 14, 15, I'm sorry that they can't stay to 11. Some of these spots are open for 24 hours and they only can work 3, 4 hours. They just trying to get their feet wet. Don't hold it against them that they can't work, that they can't get their own money, because some of them need that money
Right.
for their families or whatever the case is. Don't make stuff. Sometimes I make shit too much of a hardship for people, whatever. Don't do that to kids. Let them work. Let them be able to get experiences, and you'll realize that they're busy, they're occupied, that they ain't out there doing all that bullshit because they was at work.
Yeah. And the thing about getting in the CDLs is that's a springboard to long haul trucking, driving for Greyhound, driving for any of those transportation companies. And those jobs in and of themselves, some of them pay $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year. So you're talking about somebody that's 22, 23, making very good money. And they're either on a career path or they're doing something constructive that keeps them out of the hairs of everyone else. They become a viable taxpayer. Who knows? They might even buy property one day. But you got to let them start.
Yeah, like it's seems so difficult, but it's so easy, and we're trying to do everything to push back. Nobody wants to say, again, nobody wants to say, oh, when I turn 18, I graduate. Now I can finally get a job at McDonald's.
Right,
Now I
right.
can get a job at the thrift store, picking up, getting items out of people's vehicles and stuff like that and putting it in the dumpster. But I got to be 18 to do that. And they can do that shit at 14, 15 years old. And what you do teach them is the valuable of responsibility. I got to go to work. I got
Mhm.
money. I got my own account. I know how to work the banking system and all that. Y'all got it all wrong. But again, I question all of this shit. Like, what is this really for?
Yeah.
I think it's a plan to seek and destroy, to be honest, because there's no other sense to not. Kids should be kids at a certain age when they get a chance and they can get working papers. Put them to work, and you'll
Mhm.
find out those kids that work and they work consecutively, they end up going on and understand those are not the ones that's knocking you over the head or waiting for you to come out the store to rob you, because they already have a sense of work, a work ethic, and have, their account, like I said, bank accounts, and start establishing things. But I see too many layers. We're trying to stop productive stuff happening with kids.
Yeah.
So don't get me going as far as that. But anything, we gonna probably get ready to close it out here. We have one more talking point, but that could be a carryover for next week about the pick me and all that, pick me chick, pick me man, and all that stuff, because that's a whole nother conversation that needs to be had where people feel like, as far as that oh, she's a pick me chick because she's kind of agreeing with men are saying, and might have been schooled by other people to say it's okay to agree and to want to do this, but now she's being shunned upon, like, oh, this is what you doing. Oh, you a pick me chick. Oh, you. Oh, so you're agreeing with these men or whatever the case is. Like, we'll find anything, any way to make shit negative. Anyway, and really, they probably like, listen, I'm not about to try to battle this, whatever. This is what I learned. This is what I grew up seeing. My mother, my grandmother, that they they had a system in place. They followed it, and even my fathers and brothers, they followed. We everybody worked together, and it was never no issues. But now we're in a culture that people is trying to divide everything, and everybody go dolo.
Yeah, and it doesn't work well.
Mm.
It does not work well.
So as you see, we have so much to worry about, so many concerns, so many issues to talk about, but we like to get it started here. But we're gonna close it out because day two tomorrow, and you always get the anticipation for day one, but shit, then you really find out that shit day two, day three, day four is really worse. Because now people that woke up like, oh shit, school started. Oh no, I didn't know that. You'll be amazed. Like I could do whole podcasts on behaviors about certain things at school. So there's gonna be a bunch of parents that wake up and realize, like, shit, I didn't know school started. I thought every school district started after Labor Day or whatever the case is. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's what caught me. I didn't realize that. I heard some other parents talking about. I was like, oh wow. I always assumed that most places they start at the Labor Day, but I know some places, located in the South, they start at the end of August. So it is what it is.
And for us, at one point, I don't know, it might have been a couple of years, we had started after Labor Day, but then I think teachers or whatever was like, oh, hold on, whatever. We rather and get out early and start early. And also, they probably looked at the pay cycle and all that stuff and said, shit, we want after being out, that's a long stretch without getting paid. So let's start before Labor. Bunch of different nuances that certain districts go by, but I always say I'm 12 months, so no matter what, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there, no, regardless whether you start before Labor Day or after Labor Day. It don't make me none. But
Feel you. I feel
that,
you.
any closing comments you got to say her regarding all the stuff that we talked, the 80-20, this parent issue about these adults and different programs? Any closing comments?
No, I believe I am set. I am done. I'm gonna sit up, relax, probably have me a little bit of ice cream and go to bed.
Ice cream. Your ass getting older. You ain't gonna just go to bed after eat ice cream. You gonna have bubble guts.
No, I have it's a I don't eat a lot mainly because I'm lactose intolerant. So I only eat about a bowl, and I'm usually pretty good.
Okay. Well, for me, it's a lot, and I could just tackle the 80-20 thing. Listen, nobody's perfect. You're never gonna get 100% from anyone. You would hope that you wouldn't get 100% from them, because that means they're totally focused on you, and there's other things they could be doing. In most relationships, you'll find that it's better when and more fruitful when the other person has other things that they're doing. That strikes up a conversation to know, oh, this what you had going on today? Wow. That's crazy. And you're sharing different things. And I always make reference to, again, I know people don't like to hear, oh, don't make comparison to people like that, but that's really sometimes what we have to go by on certain situations. When you think about Cookie and Magic Johnson, whatever. Magic, Showtime, the Showtime leader. That's what the limelight. But Cookie, early in their relationship, she was dissatisfied because she didn't really have anything going on until she started saying, "Hey man, we got money up the damn wazoo. I could start branching off, coming up with my own brand, doing my own thing." And I think she started coming up with a clothing brand and all that stuff. That's when her focus wasn't always on magic. She started doing her own thing, and their relationship strengthened. So that's one of the key things. If both parties are doing something, you have little time to focus on negative shit. But where there's one that's always doing something and the other is just, okay, punching in their time, but don't really have much going on, you always go, that 80-20 rule doesn't apply. But really, shit, to get 80% from someone, shit is everything. Because if you can't pick up 20% on your own time, then you have to look at yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have to look at yourself because I could easily fulfill 20% myself for myself. So just something to think about. So there's gonna be people always put out there. They ain't giving 100%. Don't do whatever, or whatever the case is. Shit, even in sports, whatever you can say, I need you to give 100%. You know damn well that every athlete have certain things going on. They have injuries. They have other things, outside influences. You know the ones that's putting out the effort, or giving you what they can give. And when you accept that, that's when you develop a partnership and say, all right, we can roll with it, we can work with it. So understand that no matter what situation it is, no one's given 100%, whether it's at the job, um relationships, your family, everybody falls short in certain areas. Accept it. And I'm not saying take whatever, because you know when it's like a total imbalance, but don't get caught up in the falsehood to think that you're gonna get that 100%, and that's gonna be your where you're gonna put everything. That's gonna be your table setter, because you're gonna always fall short as far as that. All right. So with that said, we out. Thanks for the people joining the chat. Still, anybody watching the replay, please like and share it. And hey, we're gonna keep rolling on. Day 2 tomorrow. Uh, See what happens. And everybody have a good night. Stay safe. And remember, I'm gonna say this. We hadn't said in a while, COVID ain't going nowhere. He
Yeah.
said, he said, fuck that vaccine shit that y'all got put out there. That shit ain't tested nothing. Don't matter. We got 2 lakhs. I got lakhs. As many people I be around. Gotta stay masked up. So now I'm like, damn, I gotta deal with this frustrating mask again. But if it's gonna keep me alive or keep me feeling better that I ain't on no ventilators or somewhere, no damn hospital, I'm gonna take it. But just understand, weather about to break in many places, and people gonna get sick, and there's different variances of all this stuff. It's about to go down again. They'll never probably promote it like that because they want you to think like it's over with.
Yeah.
They're never go like how it used to be a daily thing. They want you to slip up. That shit ain't going nowhere. He said he ain't going nowhere. Say, yeah, you're gonna
I,
sit your ass down somewhere.
I will say this much. I keep my distance from a lot of things and a lot of people. Like, there's still some trepidation about me going to some of these sporting events, but I'm not going to live my life under the thumb of fear. So I'm going to go ahead and brave some situations because I'm going to have some fun. But definitely, man, people take care of yourselves and make sure you're doing everything you can to protect yourself.
Yeah, because it's going down, like I said, and for people to think that they have no fears or concerns, he said they ain't going nowhere. He said, "Shit, what vaccine? Yeah, I can do all this shit. I'm still gonna hit y'all because the one thing COVID knows is people is reckless. They not
Mm-hmm.
gonna stay consistent with their practices and with the washing hands, the mask, and all that stuff. And as soon as you slip, that's when they get your ass. I got. So now, because I hated masks, especially when they get hot. Like, oh shit, this is too much. But now I realize, like, yeah, while everybody else chilling, I'm gonna have my mask on. I'm gonna keep wearing my mask, and not just for the regulations of protocol and stuff. It's probably for the rest of the school year, and even when I go into grocery stores and all that, gonna have a mask on. And sometimes you have to be hit on the head before you understand, and I understand now. So with that said, we out. Everybody be safe, be good, be great, and we'll see you next time. We out. Peace.
Yeah.